Chap 161. Yuan Huanglong, kill all heavenly soldiers and generals. After Tu Ling are left, Hanju began to observe the dragon soul in the scale, then used his divine sense to awaken it. Who are you? The dragon soul asked weakly. Hanju used his divine sense to communicate with it, asking about its identity and why it had fallen to such a state. The dragon soul did not hide anything. It was already at its wit's end. It was already very difficult for anyone to discover it. This dragon soul came from the true dragon race of the upper world. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the mortal world had just been created. He descended into the mortal world to travel, but in the end, he encountered a battle and died. Only a remnant soul survived. In order to prevent being discovered by the enemy, the dragon soul hid in a snake scale. It wanted to attach itself to a demon beast and absorb its spirit energy to nourish the remnant soul. Unfortunately, after hundreds of thousands of years, this scale was mostly buried in the ground. In order to reduce the consumption of the soul, he could only fall asleep. If you save me, I will definitely repay you, the dragon soul continued. Hanju agreed immediately. Alright, I'll think of a way to save you. Nourish my soul with your immortal power every day. You can save me if you persist. Alright. Thank you, it's fine. Hanju agreed on the surface, but was very dissatisfied inside. I promised to save you. Why didn't you show any favorability? Hanju tried to use his immortal power to nourish the dragon soul. After 2 hours, this guy still did not have a good impression of him. Hanju directly cut off his immortal power. Why did you stop? The dragon soul cried out from within the scale. Yuan Huanglong has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. The heck? 2 stars of hatred just like that? Hanju wanted to scold him, but he still carefully checked Yuan Huanglong's information. Abyssal Yellow Dragon, mid-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal from the true dragon race. He has a treacherous and petty personality. He once offended Qi Yunxian and was killed. Because he was dissatisfied with you stopping the immortal power to nourish his remnant soul, he developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. When Hanju saw this, he realized that it was Qi Yunxian who had killed him. In this case, he didn't have to worry about offending the true dragon race. Hanju immediately probed the scale with his divine sense and wiped away the consciousness of the dragon soul, leaving only an unconscious remnant soul. Devouring remnant souls could strengthen the soul. This was also one of the reasons why possession was so popular. Some mighty figures were able to prosper because they had been possessed by a mighty figure when they were young. In the end, the possessor had suffered a backlash and the host inherited the memories of the mighty figure. Their souls had transformed, allowing them to soar. There were many such cases. Hanju didn't devour the dragon soul but kept it. When the 3-headed Wyrm king performed well, he would give it to him. He checked his interpersonal relationships and discovered that Yuan Huanglong's portrait was gone. It meant that he was really dead. Completely relieved, Hanju started cultivating Dao Comprehension Sword was confused. From her point of view, Hanju had been changing his expression while holding the scale. His emotions were changing and he was extremely strange. However, she did not ask. This wasn't the first time Hanju did this. 4 years later, Feng Liang and Morong Qi went out to train. The others were still cultivating under the Fusong tree. That day, late at night, in the middle of cultivating, Hanju suddenly felt a powerful divine sense attack. He subconsciously opened his eyes and discovered that his consciousness had arrived in a vast sea of stars. The universe was dark and dotted with millions of stars, looking extremely beautiful. In front of Hanju was a figure surrounded by red clouds. Hanju recognized him immediately, Qi Yunxian. Qi Yunxian sized him up with a smile and asked, "Aren't you afraid?" Hanju said, "If you want to kill me, it's useless even if I'm afraid." As expected of someone who dares to offend the heavenly general. You have already become a loose immortal. Why didn't you ascend? I offended Vermilion Bird and was afraid that he would wait for me. I can secretly send you to the heavenly court to become a heavenly soldier. The Vermilion Bird you offended should be the Zhudo's father. Back then, when the Vermilion Bird descended into the mortal world, He didn't give me face. I'm also unhappy with him. I can protect you. Qi Yunxian smiled. His attitude surprised Han Jue. In his opinion, immortals shouldn't be too straightforward. They were all shrewd and didn't easily fall out with each other. Entering the heavenly court as a heavenly soldier, Hanju was a little resistant. As a soldier, how could he live in seclusion? Besides, the heavenly court would be attacked by demon saints. There would be too much trouble. Hanju asked, "May I know your identity?" Qi Yunxian stroked his beard and smiled. "The mortal world you live in is controlled by me, Qi Yunxian. I mainly control the heavenly Tao to prevent any mistakes in the heavenly rules. I can't interfere with matters in the mortal world, but promoting you to the heavenly court is a piece of cake." Hanju continued to ask, "I heard that the heavenly court wants to clean up the mortal world. Is this true?" Qi Yunxian's expression darkened. "Who told you that?" "To be honest, I know a senior in the Sword Dao River." "The Sword Dao River? Could it be that? I didn't expect you to be a genius in the Sword Dao. My mortal world is indeed filled with Providence. No wonder the devils have been plotting." Qi Yunxian's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 3.5 stars. Hanju was secretly pleased. "I have quite the reputation." Qi Yunxian said seriously, "To be honest, the heavenly court has indeed placed the mortal world you are in on the list of important assessments. This world is very likely to be cleaned up. At that time, all living beings will be annihilated and the heavenly Tao of this world will no longer exist. I will also be transferred out of my immortal position and become the immortal official of another location. That's why I came to find you. No matter what, you're still a mortal that came out from under me. I'm willing to help you." Hanju frowned and said, "Can I bring my disciples along?" Qi Yunxian shook his head and said, "I'm afraid not. Their cultivation levels are weak. Even if they go to the heavenly court, they won't be able to withstand the immortal qi pressure. Besides, it's against the rules for mortals to enter the heavenly court. I can only bring you into the heavenly court. If the vermilion bird causes trouble for you outside, I can't do anything about it." Hanju frowned even more. Qi Yunxian sighed and said, "The devils have invaded too deeply. In addition, as a heavenly general, Yang San has been writing letters. Although my immortal position is higher than his, in the eyes of the heavenly court and the heavenly emperor, literature is inferior to martial arts. It's also my fault. I cultivate in seclusion all year round and neglected my jurisdiction in the mortal world." Hanju asked, "There are still devils in the mortal world?" "Yes, there are many descendants of the devil race. They're even hidden in the righteous sects and families. They don't have any demonic nature and are only the remnant bloodline of the devil race. If they're all killed, the world will probably be in chaos. As a heavenly Tao immortal official, I cannot personally attack the lifeforms under me. Otherwise, I will suffer a backlash from the heavenly Tao and can only be executed by the heavenly troops." Qi Yunxian's words made Hanju think of the Mo family. Didn't expect that there were many families like the Mo family. The devils had many tricks up their sleeves. Actually, there's a way. Qi Yunxian suddenly smiled. Hanju asked, "What way?" "Kill all the incoming heavenly troops." Qi Yunxian's words were shocking. Hanju looked at him in surprise. Could this fellow be a traitor? Qi Yunxian said, "This is my divine sense world. No one can see through our conversation. In fact, although the heavenly court is the land of immortals and gods that controls the other worlds, there are countless enemies. If you kill all the heavenly soldiers and generals to prove your potential, the heavenly court might recruit you." After the divine palace and Buddhist sect rose, the heavenly court started yearning for powerful prodigies, especially those who come from the mortal world. They don't have a powerful background, but they can slaughter immortals and gods. Such potential is enough to make the heavenly court go mad. 1,000,000 years ago, the heavenly court's divine general slaughtered his way out. Before he ascended, he slaughtered all the immortals who had descended into the mortal world. It shocked the heavenly court. Now, he's the strongest existence among the heavenly generals. He's also the most illustrious immortal in the heavenly court. Chap 162. Immortal Emperor's Providence, late-stage reincarnation. Loose Immortal Realm killed the heavenly soldiers and generals before waiting for the heavenly court to recruit me? Hanju looked at Qi Yunxian with a strange expression. Was he serious? As then, he suddenly thought of a story, the Monkey King Sun Wukong's story. Sun Wukong had a powerful background, but Hanju did not. This was too dangerous. I can't do it, Qi Yunxian smiled and said, if you don't dare and want to live, you can only follow me into the heavenly court. Hanju asked, is there really no other way? No. That's the only way you can save your disciples. When will the heavenly court clean up the mortal world? In a few hundred years, or 1,000 years at most. Let me think about it. Qi Yunxian waved his sleeve, and the surrounding sea of stars instantly shattered. Hanju's consciousness returned to his body. Hanju opened his eyes and rubbed his chin in thought. He had to ask his good brother about this. Hanju immediately comprehended the Sword Dao. 10 days later, he entered the Sword Dao River. It was like returning home. He found Zhang Guxing and asked about the divine general. As for Qi Yunxian, he didn't sell him out. Qi Yunxian had already done his best by telling him so much. If Hanju still snitched, would he still be human? This could also offend him, Zhang Guxing said in a low voice. You want to imitate the divine general of the heavenly court? The heavenly emperor does have such a bad habit of praising the strong and bullying the weak. Many heavenly generals in the heavenly court were once enemies of the heavenly court. The heavenly emperor saw that their potential was not bad and let bygones be bygones. He even rewarded them greatly. You can take this path if you want. If you can enter the eyes of the heavenly emperor, the vermilion bird won't dare to do anything to you. Although the heavenly court is wary of the vermilion bird race, they are more concerned about the prodigies. The heavenly emperor once offended the Buddhists for the divine general and almost caused a war in the immortal world. However, it's difficult to take this path. Besides, you don't have that much time. Hanju sighed and said, I can only try. If it really doesn't work, I can only run. If he couldn't win, he would jump to the netherworld. If the heavenly court asked the netherworld to hunt him down, he would jump to another world. There was always a place to hide. TSK. If you really succeed, your future will be bright. Although the heavenly court has been in constant trouble recently, it is still the force with the strongest foundation in the upper world. It represents the heavenly Tao. Zhang Guxing smiled and wondered internally, who told Hanju about this? This person is truly daring, Hanju sighed. What wrong have most living beings in the mortal world done? They have to face the consequences of being slaughtered. The heavenly troops risk their lives for the heavenly court, but in front of potential, they are all ants. This seemingly great power also has many problems behind it. How could those who believed in immortals know that immortals were only powerful people? The so-called immortals are all lies. Zhang Guxing shook his head. Hanju didn't say much. After knowing that this method was feasible, he left. After Hanju left the Sword Dao River, a purple figure appeared beside Zhang Guxing. Is this the mortal you like? The purple figure asked. Zhang Guxing replied, yes, he's only 800 years old. The purple figure teased. He's not immortal. What? He has the providence of an immortal emperor on him. He's probably a descendant of an immortal emperor or has received the favor of one. Immortal emperor? I see. Then his future is even more worth looking forward to. What did you expect? You want him to replace you? Let's wait for him to survive this. Let's not talk about him. The Divine Palace asked me to invite you. Are you willing to return? Your true body is still being nurtured in the Divine Palace. They have never truly given up on you. The situation in the Divine Palace is too troublesome. I don't want to return. It's good to be here. I have nothing to worry about. I don't have to think about anything else when comprehending the Sword Dao. If my eternal life is like this, I'll be satisfied. After returning to the connate cave abode, Hanju consolidated his newly comprehended sword Dao. Several days later, he started cultivating again. The mid-stage of the reincarnation loose Immortal Realm was not enough. While Hanju was cultivating in seclusion, the cultivation world was in chaos. The heavenly immortal manor was slaughtered by Taoist Juyan. More than half of them were dead or injured. Many years had passed since this incident. The other Holy Lands sensed hope and took the opportunity to develop. The fiends even gathered their forces to continue attacking the manor. Although the heavenly immortal manor was suffering, most of the cultivation world was peaceful. No different from the past, Taoist 9 cauldrons began to go out again. He went everywhere to recruit guest elders and new disciples with outstanding cultivation potential. 7 years later, Lai Qingzi couldn't take it anymore. His lifespan was upped. He came to visit Hanju. Elder Han, I might not be able to last for many years. The treasures in the sect can no longer increase my lifespan. I plan to go out and adventure for a few years. I might die outside like my master. Li Qingzi smiled. He wasn't sad. Instead, he felt relieved. Hanju asked, "Do you have any unfulfilled wishes?" Li Qingzi's smile vanished as he said seriously, "Before you ascend, protect the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and my junior sister, Fairy Shixian." Hanju nodded. Li Qingzi started to talk to him about the past and recounted his life. Hanju listened carefully. Dao Comprehension Sword was also entranced. Li Qingzi's life might not be a legend. From being chosen by the Grand Elder to running around for the sect, he recounted everything calmly. Hanju didn't feel sad, but he did feel a little emotional. It was good that he was dying. He could get a better potential in his next life and pursue the great Dao. Apart from longevity, he had obtained all the fame, power, and women that most people wanted to pursue. He had no regrets in this life. He only left the next day. Hanju stood up and sent him out. Li Qingzi had already visited Fairy Shishen, Taoist 9 cauldrons, and other old friends. Hanju was placed last. The person who had the greatest impact on him in his life might not be Hanju, but Li Qingzi felt that he should be the one to thank the most. Looking at Li Qingzi flying towards the sky, Hanju stood at the edge of the cliff and watched quietly with a calm expression. The black hell chicken didn't joke. Instead, it came to his side and asked, "Master, from now on, do we not have to run?" Although Hanju kept saying that he would escape, the black hell chicken had been here since he could remember. "Not necessarily," Hanju replied. Li Qingzi's departure did not cause a stir in the sect. After so many years, many people had forgotten about him. "If we can meet in the next life, I will give you an opportunity." Hanju chuckled and turned around. It was normal for people to leave each other. Besides, Li Qingzi didn't die with hatred. 4 years later, Hanju saw an email. "Your good friend Li Qingzi's lifespan has reached its end. He has died and fallen into the cycle of reincarnation." Hanju only sighed softly and continued cultivating. After Li Qingzi's death, Hanju's mental state was elevated. 23 years later, Hanju broke through to the late stage of the reincarnation loose Immortal Realm. He stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Yang San, Vermilion Bird, and Taoist Dan Qing. On this day, the sky changed violently. An immeasurable black crack appeared above the sea of clouds. When the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect saw this, they all panicked. Was heaven collapsing? Chap 163. 5 main characters. East Heavenly Gate. What's that? The sky split open? Is the demonic path attacking? Everyone, be careful. Something's wrong. There's no demonic chi or demonic aura. How long is this crack? The disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up at the crack in the sky and exclaimed, "Cultivating in the cave abode." Hanju also sensed the abnormality outside. He extended his divine sense and saw a spectacular and terrifying phenomenon in the sky. He immediately checked the cultivators in the sect. According to their cultivation levels, they didn't find any enemies, stood up and walked out of the cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword followed closely behind. Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong, and the others came over. "Master, where did this heavenly phenomenon come from? Enemy attack?" Young Tiandong asked. Hanju looked up at the sky with narrowed eyes. He saw nothing before long. The crack in the sky disappeared, and the sky returned to normal. It was beautiful and magnificent, as if the previous phenomenon was only an illusion. Since it wasn't an enemy attack, Hanju was relieved, was really afraid that the heavenly court would attack at this moment. With his current cultivation level, how could he block the heavenly troops? Demon Saint, you have to persist. Hanju thought silently. Then, he walked to the Fusong tree and began to develop the Fusong tree and the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine. Not bad, the Fusong tree was almost 1,000 feet tall now. The Earth Immortal Gourd Vine was like a snake coiling around the main trunk. The two golden crows also built their nests and cultivated quietly. As time passed, they became less intimate and no longer squeezed together. What was worth mentioning was that perhaps due to the influence of the black hell chicken, the two golden crows had also become sharp-tongued. They often mocked others, especially the chaotic heavenly dog and the three-headed Wyrm king. Master, I want to go back to the heavenly immortal manor and take a look. I'll be back soon. Tu Linger walked to Hanju's side and said carefully, would Master think that she was running away? Hanju replied, go. He wasn't worried about Tu Linger at all. So be it if she leaves. When Tu Linger heard that, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief and said, don't worry, Master. I'll definitely return as soon as possible. No need for that. Tu Linger thought that her master did not want her to tire herself out, so she didn't think too much about it. After she left, Hanju checked his emails. After so many years, it was unknown if the cultivation world was peaceful. Your good friend Imo Fuzhou was attacked by righteous cultivators, X2993. Your good friend Zhou Fan has joined the 5 Immortal Mountains and has become the disciple of a land deity. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X84333. Your good friend Huang Jihao was severely injured and his life was hanging by a thread. Fortunately, a mighty figure saved him. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has left the mortal world. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has awakened the mystical power of his previous life. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianchen has cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body. He has torn apart the sky and shocked the world. Zhou Fan, Wang Jihao, Feng Liang, Morong Qi, and Ji Xianchen each had their own fortuitous encounters. They could be called the 5 main characters. Hanju checked Feng Liang's profile. It was still there, which meant that he didn't die and had only left this mortal world. And the decades that Hanju had cultivated, they had their own excitement and opportunities. Hanju read for a while before returning to the connate cave abode and continued cultivating several months later. An old friend came to visit, West Abyss State 9 Dragons sect master, Wei Yuan. His true identity was the sect master of the Raincoat sect, Huang Zuantian. If Hanju hadn't given Huang Zuantian a chance, he would have died long ago. It was even more impossible for him to possess Wei Yuan and become the 9 Dragons sect master, who was stronger than the Raincoat sect. Huang Zuantian found Taoist 9 Cauldrons and explained his intentions, was surrendering. Taoist 9 Cauldrons was shocked. The Jade Pure Sacred sect had never targeted the 9 Dragons sect. Why did this sect master surrender? Was he in trouble? Previously, the Bloodfire Heavenly sect couldn't defeat the Formless sect, so they joined the Jade Pure Sacred sect. After some communication, Taoist 9 Cauldrons finally believed that the 9 Dragons sect really wanted to join them. Being cautious, Taoist 9 Cauldrons said that he wanted to discuss with the elders and let Huang Zuantian be a guest for a period of time. Huang Zuantian had no objections and went to visit Hanju. Hanju let him in. After entering the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, Huang Zuantian was shocked. The spirit Qi here was too. Seeing young Tiandong, Sun Cheng'an, and the others, Huang Zuantian had a strong urge. He wanted to be Hanju's slave. Huang Zuantian was very excited to see Hanju again, was currently at the 2nd level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. Compared to hundreds of years ago, he had only broken through by 1 minor realm. Hanju changed the topic and asked, how have you been all these years? Back then, Huang Zuantian had saved Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog and had even been severely injured. He had always remembered this. Huang Zuantian saw his smile and was no longer nervous. He began to describe his experiences over the years. Dao comprehension sword listened quietly. After listening for a long time, Hanju finally understood his intentions. Huang Zuantian couldn't withstand the pressure of the Nine Dragons sect. He no longer wanted to be the sect master and wanted to focus on cultivation. If you want to move to my side, you have to make contributions. When the Nine Dragons sect joins the Jade Pure Sacred sect, you have to make contributions to our sect. When you become a respected senior in the sect, I will allow you to move in, Hanju muttered. Huang Zuantian was overjoyed and immediately agreed. The two of them chatted for a while more before Huang Zuantian left. Hanju fell into deep thought. As the spirit chi of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain became denser, it would attract more people in the future. He had to control the scale to prevent the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain from being crowded and thinning the spirit chi. It would be good if I can attract more people with great providence. At that time, I won't teach them personally and let the disciples do it. Hanju thought silently, didn't have connections all over the world, but he could create them. When the powerful Monkey King embarked on the journey to the west, he still had to rely on his connections in the heavenly court to overcome all obstacles. Of course, all of this had to happen without affecting Hanju's cultivation progress. Above the sea of clouds, countless bolts of lightning struck the same spot. It was a person. Ji Xianchen sat in the air. His body was surrounded by lightning. His black hair twisted around like a group of snakes. At this moment, it was as if he was possessed by an immortal. He exuded an unparalleled aura. In the distance, more than 10 figures stood on a cloud. They were all the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner. Unbelievable. He really cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body. He can be considered to have surpassed all the past geniuses of the heavenly immortal manner. He's unprecedented. What a terrifying aura. Even a Mahayana realm cultivator can't withstand a single strike from him. The number one cultivator in the world. I wonder when he will choose to ascend. As the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner were still discussing, a huge eye appeared in the thundercloud above Ji Xianchen's head, looking down at him. At the same time, in another area of the sky, a rolling sea of clouds formed on the ground. Two majestic stone pillars stood erect, with two white dragons wrapped around each pillar. Below them, 2 rows of silver-armored heavenly soldiers stood, looking extraordinarily mighty. At the top of the 2 stone pillars was a golden jade plaque with 3 words carved on it, East Heavenly Gate. A bolt of lightning pierced through the sea of clouds and shot towards the plaque. A heavenly soldier immediately brandished his spear and dispersed it. Chap 164. Reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. The sudden lightning shocked the heavenly troops. They thought that it was an enemy attack and immediately reported it to the heavenly generals. Then, they began to investigate where the lightning came from, and next to no time, a heavenly general wearing heavy silver armor and a crown made of phoenix wings and beads rushed over with a large blade. This heavenly general had a dignified appearance and his eyes were like torches. He was awe-inspiring even without showing emotions. Where did the lightning come from? The heavenly general asked in a low voice. A heavenly soldier replied, from a mortal world. A mortal world? The heavenly general became interested. He took a few steps forward and took out a mirror. He looked down and used his left hand to cast a spell on the back of the mirror. The mirror shone and shot into the sea of clouds. Before long, the light vanished. The heavenly general raised the mirror and saw the scene of Ji Xianchen transcending the tribulation. Such a prodigy has appeared in the mortal world again. To be able to shake the heavenly rules, he's truly impressive. The heavenly general muttered as his eyes lit up. He had to take this kid under his wing. 30 years later, Hanju successfully broke through to the perfected reincarnation loose immortal realm. This speed of breakthrough was not much slower than before the loose immortal realm. It could even be said to be about the same. In the past, he could break through a major realm in about 100 years. Now, it was about the same. After breaking through, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to do his daily missions. Every 10 years, he would curse once to prevent his enemies from living too comfortably. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your disciple Tu Linger was attacked by demon beasts, X100489. Your disciple Tu Linger was attacked by a demon king and was severely injured. At the critical moment, she activated the soul power of a grand magus. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has returned to the mortal world. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianchen received a dream from an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Zhou Fan has comprehended an ancient mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Liu Bumi was attacked by a sinister demon and was severely injured. Your grand disciple Feng Liang sacrificed himself to save the saintess of the demon race who had transformed into a fish. His cultivation has increased greatly. Was this the terminal lucidity of the heavenly Tao? How terrifying! Hanju couldn't help but retort internally. Many people obtained opportunities. Hanju noticed that Liu Bumi was attacked by demons. The current Liu Bumi was the elder of discipline of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and had a special status. He checked his profile. It was still there, which meant that he was fine. Hanju continued cursing. Half a month later, began to cultivate the 6 paths of reincarnation technique and prepared to break through to the Earth Immortal Realm. He placed the heaven-evading stone at his waist. The closer the stone was to him, the safer he felt. He wondered how long the heaven-evading stone could let him stay in the mortal world. The immortal chi of the Cultivate, diligently become immortal mountain, surged towards him. A whirlwind formed in the cave abode, preventing Tao Comprehension Sword from cultivating in peace. Hanju let Tao Comprehension Sword out. This time, he had to break through to the Earth Immortal Realm. Under the blue sky, the sea was vast. On the beach, Feng Liang sat on the reef and looked at the sky, lost in thought. Was no longer the youth from before. He had matured and his shoulders had broadened. A graceful woman in black walked out of the forest behind him. She had a beautiful face and a pair of beast ears on her head. Walking to Feng Liang's side and sitting down, she said softly, "Liang, what do you plan to do next?" Feng Liang came back to his senses and said, "I want to go back and see my grandmaster." "Why? Didn't you say you were going to ask my father for my hand in marriage? This matter needs my grandmaster's approval." "Oh? You were raised by your grandmaster?" "No. But without my grandmaster, I wouldn't be who I am today. I'll go with you. You can go back first. Once my grandmaster agrees, I'll immediately propose a marriage." "What if your grandmaster doesn't agree?" "He will. Don't worry. My grandmaster doesn't like to interfere in our private affairs. I just feel that we have to inform him first. This is respect." "Fine." The woman in black frowned, but she still agreed. Feng Liang stood up and said, "That's all. See you next time." The woman in black responded and watched him leave. "Humph, this is the kid you like?" Although his potential isn't bad, he's already so old, yet he still listens to his grandmaster. Could it be that his grandmaster is a Mahayana cultivator? A rough and imposing voice sounded in the black-robed woman's ears. The woman in black said coquettishly, "Isn't that good?" He's very filial. The relationship between humans and demons is hard to say. If his grandmaster objects, no. Liang won't give up on me. Then let's wait and see. 2 years later, Hanju finally broke through. Name, Hanju. Lifespan, 873/5,761,200. Race, Immortal. Cultivation, early stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. Looking at his attributes panel, Hanju was very excited. 7 million years of lifespan. This was true longevity. Hanju's dermic powers continued to increase and his divine sense also strengthened. After stepping into the Earth Immortal Realm, all his senses had transformed. The world had become different in his eyes. I can't be proud. This cultivation is nothing. Hanju thought silently. After breaking through, he still had to hurry up and cultivate. Half a year later, Hanju completely consolidated his Earth Immortal Realm dermic powers. To celebrate this matter, he took out the Book of Misfortune and began grinding his daily missions. After cursing, he called Dao Comprehension's sword back in and continued cultivating. Dao Comprehension's sword asked curiously, "Master, you broke through again?" She was also becoming stronger, but Hanju was becoming more and more unfathomable in her eyes. "Yes," Hanju replied casually. Dao Comprehension's sword continued, "Sun Chang'an wants to talk to you, but he doesn't dare." Hearing this, Hanju opened his eyes and asked, "What is it?" "He wants to find Miss Tienner's reincarnation." During this period of time, he didn't cultivate. He sat under the fusong tree as if he had lost his soul. Dao Comprehension's sword shook her head. She couldn't understand Sun Chang'an's state. Did he have to be this obsessed with that woman? Hanju remained silent. Was the curse of the divine Buddha so terrifying? The heartless flying sword couldn't make Sun Chang'an completely forget her. Forget it. Let Chier accompany his master. It's a good opportunity to train him, Hanju said. Morong Chi had already returned and was cultivating under the fusong tree. Dao Comprehension's sword immediately stood up to pass the message. Originally distracted, Sun Chang'an immediately got up excitedly and kowtowed to the connate cave abode. Morong Chi curled his lips and said, "I'll protect my master?" Sun Chang'an glared at him and said angrily, "What? You don't acknowledge me as your master?" "No, I just feel that you've nothing better to do. There are many women in the world, but you insist on pursuing one. You don't understand. The most sincere, pure, and sacred thing in the world is love. Can love not break through the obstacle of appearance?" Not far away, Yang Tiandong was envious. This ugly monk was really lucky to have such a powerful disciple accompanying him. He had such a powerful disciple. Why would he worry about not becoming a demon king and having immense power? Perfect. After he leaves, if master wants to take in a new disciple, I can become a master too. Yang Tiandong thought happily. He was too envious of Morong Chi and Feng Liang. Their talent was too ridiculous. Chap 165. The Tide of Geniuses. Hanju's ambition. After Morong Chi left with Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong found Hanju and expressed his intention. Hanju was caught between laughter and tears. There were actually people fighting to take in disciples. Don't tell me you want to take in a disciple to be your henchman and fight for the territory of the demons? Hanju asked with a faint smile. Yang Tiandong was immediately embarrassed when he was seen through. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "How is that possible?" Hanju snorted. "We'll see in the future. There aren't any good seedlings now. When I take in disciples, it has to depend on their aptitude. You better not go around taking in some trash." Hee, of course. I'm also afraid of trouble. Get lost. You haven't even reached the void amalgamation realm. I'm afraid you'll become the weakest disciple under me. All right, Yang Tiandong left dejectedly. His cultivation level was indeed at the bottom. Fortunately, Sun Chang'an was still accompanying him. Dao Comprehension's sword suddenly said, "Master, when can you arrange a disciple for me? It seemed fun to take care of a disciple. Do you want a male or female disciple?" Hanju asked with a smile. Dao Comprehension's sword chuckled. "A female disciple, of course. You have too many male disciples under you. I'm used to it. However, there are fewer female disciples. Linger usually focuses on cultivating and doesn't like to chat with me. You should be cultivating. Why chat?" "No, I'm not saying that I like." "Alright, we'll talk about this when you reach the Mahayana realm." Dao Comprehension's sword curled her lips. Feeling wronged, Hanju liked to see her aggrieved look. She had the face of a cold goddess, but she looked like a little woman who had been wronged. She was actually quite cute. "I'll let you take care of the next female disciple." "Thank you, master." Dao Comprehension's sword immediately smiled like a flower. Hanju felt like he was teasing a child, sighed. "I'm getting old." For some reason, Hanju felt that he was not as cold-hearted as before. He had to consolidate his Dao heart. Hanju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing. 3 years later, when Feng Liang returned, he visited Hanju anxiously. Arriving in front of Hanju, he knelt down. He first bowed, then went straight to the point to tell him the story of him and the saintess of the demon race. By chance, he saw a fish churning by the river. He walked over and placed the fish in the river, but he didn't expect to obtain the favor of the saintess. This saintess was severely injured by the enemy and could only hide in the form of a fish. Seeing that the fish had been following him, Feng Liang felt that it was sentient and put it in a bamboo basket. After discovering that the fish was extraordinary and was injured, Feng Liang used his spirit energy to treat it. Hanju listened with relish. Feng Liang asked uneasily, "Grandmaster, can I marry her?" Hanju said, "If you really like her, there's naturally no problem. However, you can't let a woman delay your cultivation. Your goal is to become an immortal and not live a mortal life." Feng Liang heaved a sigh of relief. "I understand." Actually, he was also a little confused. However, it was his first time encountering love. The other party was too fierce, causing him to be led by the nose. For some reason, he felt that marrying and having children was not the life he should have. His target was to be like Hanju. He wanted to live like his grandmaster. After Feng Liang left, Hanju didn't think too much about it. In his opinion, this was a calamity that Feng Liang had to face. He couldn't see through the mortal world. How could he see through the great Tao? Hanju had also fallen in love before, but that was in his previous life. If a guy and a girl got together, they would only end up in trouble. After entering the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm, Hanju continued cultivating and strove to break through to the Heaven Immortal Realm as soon as possible. According to Zhang Guxing, a Heaven Immortal might appear to clean up the mortal world. Hanju was only an Earth Immortal and was not safe enough. When he was alone, the cultivation world was still bustling with heroes. Ji Xianchen of the Heavenly Immortal Manor began to slaughter fiendish cultivators everywhere. At the same time, he challenged the experts of the other holy lands and never lost. He stirred up an invincible wind. A mighty figure sighed. "Geniuses should be like immortals." This sentence made the other geniuses follow suit. Instantly, the various sects in the world began to encounter the challenges of the geniuses. It was the same for the Jade Pure Sacred sect. Fortunately, they could handle it themselves. Xiao Yao used his powerful strength to suppress several geniuses. This old blind man was indeed worthy of being the #1 genius of the Heavenly Immortal Manor 5,000 years ago. Time flew. 7 years later. Ji Xianchen came again. "Fellow Taoist Guan, come out and have a gathering. This time, it's not a battle, but catching up. I have a fortuitous encounter for you." Ji Xianchen's tone was a little cheerful. It was obvious that he was in a good mood. Hanju hesitated for a moment, but still stood up to see him. It was still that familiar forest. When he saw Hanju again, Ji Xianchen still couldn't see through him. How strong is this fellow? Ji Xianchen cursed silently. He was already at the 8th level of the Mahayana realm and had cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body, but he still couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation level. Fortunately, he wasn't arrogant this time. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed again. "What is it?" Hanju asked. "Opportunity?" Was he going to hand over a gift? Did he want to acknowledge him as his master? Hanju found Ji Xianchen more and more pleasing to the as long as they gave him a gift. They were good people. Ji Xianchen coughed and said, "I obtained a dream from an immortal god. He came from the heavenly court of the upper world. He's a heavenly general who is willing to accept me. At that time, if I ascend, I will become a member of the heavenly court." "That's it." Hanju frowned and felt dissatisfied. "So you're showing off to me. Your strength is not bad. I can bring you along. When the time comes, you and I can fuse our swords and become the 2 strongest war gods of the heavenly court. How about that?" Ji Xianchen asked with a burning gaze. He couldn't defeat him, he would invite him. Hanju frowned and said, "Are you going to be a dog for the heavenly court?" When Ji Xianchen heard this, his expression instantly darkened. He said in a low voice, "What do you mean?" He had good intentions, but in the end, he was scolded. If not for the fact that he couldn't win, he would have attacked. "You don't know that the heavenly court might want to clean up the mortal world? As a genius of the Heavenly Immortal Manor, can you tolerate your hometown being slaughtered?" Hanju said bluntly. Ji Xianchen frowned. The Heavenly Immortal Manor had also received information from the seniors of the upper world. They were the mighty figures of the heavenly immortal manner who had ascended previously, asking them to ascend quickly. Ji Xianchen also learned of this matter, so after receiving the heavenly general's invitation, he was very happy. What can I do? I can't change the heavenly court's decision. Ji Xianchen suppressed his anger. Hanju said expressionlessly, if the heavens want to destroy our human race, we cultivators should overthrow the heavens. If you don't even have such a backbone, what will the heavenly court think of you there, when those immortals learn that your hometown has been slaughtered and you were indifferent about it? What will they think of you? Ji Xianchen's heart ached. He was born with an invincible heart. Hanju's words aroused his arrogance. I want to be the strongest immortal god. If I bow my head now, what about in the future? Keep bowing down. Ji Xianchen clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Can the two of us overthrow the heavenly court? Hanju said calmly, we can't overthrow it, but we will kill as many as they come. We can show our strength and let the heavenly court give up clearing the world for us. These words made Ji Xianchen's blood boil. Why hadn't he thought of this before? Could this be the reason why Hanju was stronger than him? Heavenly King Evil Annihilation has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars, when Xuxing has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars, Giant Spiritual Martial God has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star, Divine Eye has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 1 star,